What's going on, everybody? My name is Brandon Peterson, and this is a Code Peterson tutorial. It's a holiday season. I'm feeling rather festive today. I thought it would be fun to take us through the process of going through a design all the way to the end product of something that has been produced from a laser cutter and see how it turns out. So to begin with, I'm using Adobe Illustrator. You can use any vector creating program that you would like for this. I'm a huge fan of Adobe Creative Cloud. If you followed me for any time or watched any of my other videos, you know I'm a big fan of it and use it for almost everything as far as vector graphics go. And then I will actually switch over to my laptop where I have XCS installed, and that is the free software that comes with that P2 laser cutter. And then I will import my design from here into that so that we can decide what's going to be cut in those different settings. And then we will export that to the P2 laser cutter and then kind of go from there. In Illustrator here, I am creating this 6 inches by 6 inches. I don't want it to be too huge, so that should give me enough room on this. And then I'll go create. And we have our nice artboard here to begin with. If I want to make a Christmas tree, the easiest way to start with is with that polygon tool. You draw a polygon on here, and we have that little diamond there on the side where we can increase or decrease the sizes of that and start with the top of this. And at this time, I just want it to be a solid color. So for the fill, it doesn't matter what color for this. And I'm going to have there be no stroke around the outside. I don't want any outline on this one at this time. All right. We have our tip of this on here. And then if I Alt, click and drag, it'll make a copy of this. Doesn't have to be an exact science or anything right now. Click and drag again. And I might have this one be 4 tiers, a 4 tiered tree. Yours doesn't have to look exactly like this if you're following along. If everybody's Christmas tree looked the exact same, it would be a pretty boring holiday season. All right, and I want there to be a little more character to this. If I go here and click on the top one, then I can go over to Object and then down to Envelope Distort and Make with Warp. And we can use arc for this, that'd be fine. And if I bend this like at -10 and click OK, now we have, it's a little bit more fun of a shape, you know? And I'll go here and do the same thing. Go down to Distort, Make with Warp. And this one could also be -10. Could probably do 10 for all of these. Probably not a bad thing. But you can add a little variety in there if you want. And I'll try -12. And go down here. This one. Warp. Stick 12 for that one also. All right, that looks a little bit better. Then I might click this top one here and kind of rotate that to the side a little bit. Second one. That's not bad at all. If you want a quick way to align these centered, like it's, even though we want there to be some variation the other ways, it's not a bad idea to have the horizontal align center here, you can select all the objects and go over here on the right hand side to align. And that'll add a little bit of stability to our tree. All right, I like it. Now with these, if I select these and go to object and expand and click OK, then that'll give us our shape back. It's kind of what we want for that. For the trunk, might add a rectangle here. And for the size of this, like over here where we have the transform, one thing I might do for this, we can go to preferences and units. And here I am going to switch from inches actually to millimeters at this time. Click OK. And the reason why I'm doing that now is because the dimensions and everything from that E2 laser cutter and that software deals with millimeters, so it'll just make life a little bit easier then. So then over here where we have the width of this, I might go 20 millimeters. And the height doesn't really matter to me right now because we're not going to see most of this trunk anyway. There's that. And if you want, go over here to the curvature tool and you can click and drag maybe right there, and then we can do the same on the other side just to add a little bit of bend in there to that trunk and make sure everything's kind of lined up. And then here, that's just an easy measurement for me to remember, that 20 millimeters. So when I go to make the stand, I don't have to try to remember what that size was or recreate it or measure it or anything along those lines. All right, once we're done with that, we just need our star. We'll go back over here to our shapes, and there is a nice trusty star tool. Bring this down so that it all fits in this artboard right here. And we're off to a good start. All right, now this is going to be one layer of my design. The next thing I want to do is make a copy of this artboard. So if I go over here to my artboard tool, and again, like I did before when I was duplicating these, I can hold down the Alt key and bring this over. And now I have artboard 2. This one is not going to have the star on it. I just want there to be, going to kind of make like a sandwich. Like this is going to be the bread of the sandwich. It'll be on both sides of this. And then this will be kind of like the meat of the sandwich. We'll select these parts of the tree and then go over here to Pathfinder and we'll click to unite the clans and turn that into one shape. Now I'm waiting for the trunk on this for another time. I'm not going to connect that to this because of what I want to do next. So now we can go over here to this tree, and this time I am going to take out the fill, go to the stroke, and again the color doesn't matter. I'm just selecting black, and we'll try 20 on this, 20 points for the stroke on this. And then if I go here and select a stroke, I will actually choose the align to the inside. That might actually change what I want to do here as far as the width goes on this. I don't want this to be any wider than this shape that I have over here. That makes sense. All right, I do like that on there. Once I have that adjusted the way I want it, then I can go over here to Object and Expand to turn that into its own shape. And for this object here, there are kind of a few ways we can do this, but probably, I don't know. I'm going to make a rectangle over the top. So it's like kind of making like a T here or something. And if I select this rectangle I just made with the trunk, and I go over here to Pathfinder and click to minus front, and we'll just remove that from the top. That way this will be solid. This is going to be hollow. This is just going to be the kind of border is going to be created in wood there. All right, now for this next part, if we want to go over here to the pen tool, it's not everybody's favorite tool to use, but it is pretty useful once you get the hang of it. So I might start here. I'm going to just click and let go, and then I'm going to drag my cursor down here, and then I'm going to click and drag, and then just kind of make a curve. And then you'll see it's still going to be stuck to my cursor. So to unstick that, you just hold down the Alt key and click your mouse, then it's done. I can go over here to fill and take that out. And for the stroke, I'll have this be black. And I will roll with what I used for this tree out here, or to make it as close as you can. We got one curved line right there. Go back here to my pen tool. And this one, I might go here. Click and drag. And Alt click. Rid of that. Now, sometimes when you do that, like this isn't a very clean alignment right there. So I can use this white arrow tool, click on that anchor, and move that someplace where it matches up a little bit better. And then for the final one, I'm going to add 3 to this one. I'll go back to my pen tool. And maybe this one will go like that. And I may need to rotate this one just a little bit. If you need to shrink it down a little bit, we can do that too. When you do that, depending on your Illustrator settings, your stroke may go down. So then I just need to increase that so that it is the appropriate size. I'll go down to 15. A little indecisive on this today. I like that. Okay, this is like kind of our tinsel, or I don't know, lights or whatever. And then if we wanted to, we could go over here and select our ellipse tool. And I'll just make this be a solid color for the fill. And then for the stroke, I will remove that. Go. And if I need to resize that, not too hard at all. I'll place one right here, one right here, one over here, just to space these out a little bit better. I like that. Okay, once that is finished, then this is already kind of expanded, but these little shapes here, better select those and go over to Object and Expand and OK, so that it turns those into the appropriate shapes. Something that we can run into with the software for that P tool or that P2 laser cutter is it does not always like it if we have a shape on top of a shape when we bring it in there. Sometimes it recognizes that. So I'm select this tree, that arc, and then going over to Pathfinder, I can unite those like I did with the others. So I will do that with all of these shapes. And at this point in time, with the trunk down here, I can now unite that on here. I just didn't want there to be a stroke going around the outside of that. I wanted the tree trunk to be solid on there. And that looks pretty nice. This next part is kind of up to you if you want to do this here, or you can use it in the other software also. But if I wanted to, could make a copy of this artboard right here. This would just save you a shape or save you a step later with the shape. And then I'll go here to Object and Transform and Reflect. And I just want to reflect it vertically. That way when we're burning through the wood with this, we don't have to have burn marks on one side of the wood and the other. We can just use the reverse side of this for our shape. Okay, the tree itself is done. Now we just need a stand for it to do. So we can make a copy of this, bring it here. And I'm just bringing that down because I want the artboards to all be the same size. I suppose it doesn't matter too much. It just makes things a little bit easier. And we want to make a tree for this, or make a stand for this tree. All right, the first part is just going to be the circle beneath it. Kind of do that however you like, have the base be as wide as you like. And then if it's over here, what I might do now is make a rectangle. And this rectangle here is going to have a width of 20.1 millimeters. I'm just making it be a shade bigger than this. Now, depending on the laser cutter you're using, there's going to be some extra or less burnt, around the edges as it's cutting through that. And I don't have my settings dialed in as much. And this is why when I make this stand, this will be on the bottom and this one's going to be on the top. And then I can just glue that tree in there. And if the tree trunk is a little bit big, I can always just sand it down or sand the opening in the stand. The wood that I'm using is 3 millimeters thick, these sheets, and I have 3 of them. So that'll be 9, and I'll go 9.1, maybe 9.2. There's multiple ones in there. And then I'll bring those shapes together and go to my alignment, align it horizontally and vertically, and then go to my Pathfinder and cut that out of there. So this is a shape. This is a shape. All of these items here are shapes. Now, finally, this last one on here, I didn't merge this together yet in case I needed to do anything special with that. It's not a bad idea to make a copy of this artboard. So you have one if you want to go back and make modifications to that. I'm not going to do that. I like to live life on the wild side. So I'll just bring here and I will simply merge this down. Okay, then when we're done, we just need to go to File and Save As. And you can save it to your computer if you want. I'm going to save mine to the Creative Cloud. And I'm going to call this Christmas Tree Decoration Laser Cut. All right, and my work on this computer is done. So the next time here, as soon as like a second later for you, you'll see me on the laptop and I will be bringing this design in to XCS so we can start getting this thing ready to be laser cut. Okay, we're now on the laptop that is connected to the xTool P2. And as you can see, I have my Adobe Illustrator file opened up on this computer. I need to go to File, and then over here to Export, Export As. And wherever you want to save this is fine. I'm putting this in my Downloads folder. And I want this to be as SVG files because I need to be able to laser cut around the outside. If you have this XCS software and you only have like a PNG or a JPEG file or something that's not an SVG file, it will only give you the option to engrave, but you won't be able to cut. So it's important it is an SVG file, which is why I use Illustrator for it. And Christmas tree decoration laser cut is fine. And then I want to go here to use artboards. And I want to use all of them and export. And then it's going to create each one of these artboards into its own separate SVG file, which is kind of handy. I'll go here to my downloads folder, and you can see we just have all those added right there today, just right now. All right, now I can minimize this and go over to xTool, Creative Space. And I use this software because it's compatible with this laser cutter and because it's free. So a couple important points for that. Then I'll go up here to New Project. You just want to make sure that up here you're connected. So as you can see, mine's connected there. But if your green light isn't on, then you'll just need to click on that and then select Connect. Up here where it says User Defined Material, I'm using this 3mm pine. And as you can see, mine has like this camera in there that shows where the placement of the wood sheets are. Okay, so now what I'll do is I will bring in here on this edition, and I will just go in order of these. So I'll start with cut 1. And here is that first tree that we have, the outline that we created. Then I will bring in cut 2. And I'll rotate this around so it's upside down just to save some room on here. And then we'll bring in another one. This one will be cut 3. So we'll be back to right side up again. And then we need to select cut 4, which is the bottom portion of the base, and then we'll add number 5, which is the portion of the base that has the notch cut out of it. All right, so all of these are brought in. We have our material selected up here. Now I want to select these, and none of these are going to be engraved or anything. They're all going to be cut. So I just need to go over here with all those selected and then go to multiple objects, output, and select cut. We'll make sure everything looks right on there, and it does. We have our outlines. We'll go to process, and it's going to render that in there. And then we go to start. And then all we need to do is push this button and it'll get to cutting. All right, those are all cut out. So then I'll just remove this wood out of here. All right, and as you can see, then we have these layers here. So I would have those cut out pieces be on both sides with the star. If you wanted to, you can even save these negative spaces if you wanted. It's not perfect, but you can kind of get the idea. And you can paint those or do that if you want, if you don't want to waste the wood. But for the parts that I'm kind of planning on doing is having this piece on here, you know, and then setting this over on the other side so that both sides you have the decorations of the tree, and then the blank tree with the stars in the middle, and then these pieces, trying to run my phone and pick this up at the same time, but then those will fit into that slot, and there is a little bit of room left in there, so I won't have to do any sanding, but I could use some wood glue or some Gorilla Glue to hold that in place. And we have kind of a cool little decoration that we can do. So I'm going to paint or stain the middle part a darker color, and I'm actually going to leave these decorations on the outside as being the natural color. And here is our final product. As you can see, we have our tree. You can see how those 3 layers went together. So we have the decorations on both sides with just the middle part having the star. And then on the base, we just took the solid circle and put that at the very bottom and then glued the circle with the slot on the top of it. We glued these in here, and just like I said last time, I stained the middle part of the tree and the rest I left for the natural wood color. But you can obviously use any kind of paint or anything you'd like. I just kind of like the stain and the natural look for it on this, and there we have it. So if you like content like this with the laser cutting, let me know in the comments and I can keep making more of this. And I appreciate you taking the time to watch. And we will hopefully catch you on another video down the road. And if I don't talk to you before, happy holidays to everyone.